welcome to this week's hashtag Toe to Toe. This week I am delighted to say that I am joined by Spencer Fearon and Dave Coldwell. Dave,
Hello.
Thank you for coming in. Unfortunately, this week in the boxing world, we received some bad news on the passing of Brendan Ingle and Dean Francis. Dave, I wanted to get your views on this. You knew Brendan quite well. Can you just tell us how he influenced you?
Yeah, Brendan's the reason why I'm sat here talking to you now, to be honest. I was a kid that, like so many others that walked into that gym, I was a kid that had zero confidence, had difficult times as a kid, walked through those doors and your life completely changes, you know, regardless of whether you become successful in boxing, as a boxer, as a coach, whatever. Just in life, it changes, you know, it changed people's lives, and I'm fortunate that he did so with mine.
And he was a lot more than just a trainer, wasn't he, Spencer?
Yeah, he was an incredible before we had motivational speakers, I would say that Brendan Ingle was a motivational speaker. Johnny Nelson would always quote him to say, like, "Oh, if you can conceive it in your mind, then you can believe it, and you can achieve it." And he'd always say this to me. And like, I remember Brendan, I'll say 1997. I think that was the first time I ever met Dave Coldwell, and Brendan was there, and it was like I was a little bit nervous for a fight, and he said, "Look, son, they're rubbish," and that was it. And that just jigged me up. Do you know what I mean? Seriously, and he's a really, really good man, really good man. And what he did pioneer a fighting system that other people have tried to emulate, but they can't emulate. And he brought to me, like, he elevated what the sweet science was with Harold Graham, with Nads, with Johnny Nelson, but then with guys like, you know, Slugger O'Toole and you know what I mean, and other guys, Jonathan Fraxton. He did, and so, you know what I mean, it's a great tragic loss of a superb man. But you know, my mantra is this, like, people only die when you forget them, and as far as I'm concerned, this man, Brendan Ingle, will live forever.
And he will be sorely missed, and our thoughts and prayers go to both of their families. Now, Dave, you haven't been back from Japan for very long, have you? Commiserations for Jamie McDonnell's fight at the weekend against Inoue. Can you just talk us through what happened?
Yeah, it was just it's a complete disaster, to be honest. It wasn't something that we expected. It just, right up to the morning of the weigh-in, it was all about winning the fight, and I expected to win the fight. And then it happens with fighters that if they wake up on the morning of the weigh-in, everything were anticipated, and you know, he's got nutritionists and a team. The scientists were calculating what he's going to weigh and everything, and it's coming heavier than what we expected. And then, you know, his mindset was, I'm not coming in overweight. Because he's seen all these fighters that are coming in overweight. This trend in boxing at the moment is once it starts getting difficult, people don't make weight. You know, he got too much respect for his belt and for the sport, that he wasn't going to lose his title on the scales. He wanted to make the weight, and he made the weight, but he wasn't strong at the weight. I've always said you can make a weight, but you know, it's being strong and being able to fight it. It's a completely different matter. Having said that, Inoue's a fantastic fighter. You know, I'm not taking anything away from Inoue. It's just facts. I mean, people can say, "Oh, you're making excuses." I'm not making excuses. It's easy to say you should have pulled out of the fight. It's easy to say that from outside. You know, personally, once it becomes a point where you look at your fight and you think, you're not going to win this fight because, you know, you've struggled too much to make the weight. And it wasn't a struggle until the morning of the weigh-in. Everything was fine until the morning of the weigh-in. But you've got him there, he has his wife out there with him. Him and his wife talking about the personal circumstances and why there's no way he's pulling out the fight. He'd lose 25% of his purse. It's cost him 30 grand to go out for training camps, sparring partners, everything, hotels, everything. Jamie's in it to make money and secure his family's future. And the bottom line is if he pulled out, where would he be brought then? You know, he's boxing abroad here, then he doesn't get the big fanfare in Britain. So if he's then giving up his title by not making weight, and you've seen how people get vilified for not making the weight. This is professional boxing. You make the weight, and it was a case of the last half a pound just absolutely done him. So we made a decision of carrying. You know, he wanted to carry on. He wanted to fight. In hindsight, do you think should he pull down? Yeah, in a perfect world you would, but then you've got to look at all the circumstances, all the things that would happen after pulling out of a fight. It's so easily done from the outside. Nothing's black and white in this sport.
Where would you like to see Jamie go next?
Featherweight.
Right.
I said 2 years ago after the first Monaco fight, he needs to move up. I said the last fight, he actually made the weight the best he's ever made it. He felt strong, he felt great. And in camp and everything for this fight, he felt strong, he felt great. Everything, again, like I said, till the morning of the fight. But super bantamweight's £4. I don't see... The way that he lives his life in order to make that weight, he's very, very strict. And I don't see at this stage of his career, £4, he's going to be where he was 2 years ago, a year ago, and always making the weight, you know. I think at featherweight he'll be a happier fighter. I think he'll be a better fighter, and he's got the frame to do so.
We'll have to get into the tweets. So we've got one here from Norman Batten that fits in quite well with what you're saying. You seem to have great emotional connection to your boxers, riding the roller coaster in recent weeks with the elation shared with Tony Bellew and then the upset and pain with Jamie McDonnell. How do you recharge your emotional batteries? It must be quite exhausting.
It is. It's a very small team. I've only got a few fighters, but we are very, very close. And you know, it's cliche, but we're like a family. It's very. I can't explain it. The highs are incredibly high, but the lows. It just seems the lows are just absolutely devastating.
Well, we can see that by your demeanour, how you've come in today. You know what I mean? Usually you're on a high anyway, but like you can see that it's affected you. But you know what?
But it has, because no matter what, like I said, he's got a nutritionist, he's got an S&C coach. I'm not an expert in those fields, so I get people that are. So you have to give responsibility. But then I'm the boxing coach, I'm the coach, and so I'm part of that responsibility. So I understand that. I have to share a responsibility of what happened on Friday night, and that plays with my mind, that plays with my heart.
Moving on anyway to another one of your fighters, Matthew's tweeted in, is the Tony Bellew fight v Tyson Fury realistic in your opinion? I doubted Tony in the past, but I'd really fancy his chances against Fury. Also glad your lad is on the mend.
Oh, thanks.
Tony Bellew.
Son. Yeah, Bellew Fury, that is a realistic option. They're talking about it, Fury's talking about it, he fancies it. But it's all about timings and when they're looking at doing it. You know, if it's Fury when he's 3-4 fights in, maybe timing's not so great. If it's Fury quite an immediate future, then maybe so.
Spencer, what do we think?
If you want to get Tyson Fury getting right now when he's rusty and everything else, you don't want that guy getting into the momentum. No. Tyson Fury, scientifically, when we're dealing with the science of boxing, he's up there. But one thing I got to give Tony Bellew, he's very, very astute when it comes to the pugilistic arts. He knows this thing. Yeah. So if you want to get Tyson Fury getting right now, getting when he's rusty, similar to like when Oscar Bonavena fought Muhammad Ali straight out. You know what I mean? You get him in that early stage, and it wasn't Ali's best performance. You know what I mean? But then when Joe Frazier fought Ali, Joe Frazier beat him. So you know what I mean? Would he beat Ali in young, fresh times? I doubt that very much. But that's the time when you got to go get these guys. But the only problem that I can see with this fight happening is the TV promotions and TV networks. You know what I mean? Because he's the one. I think that's the messy thing.
Well, here's an interesting one. What about this one? What weight do we think Bellew Ward would be at? Do you think Ward will cope with the extra size and the weight of Bellew? We're running out of time.
Well, what I would say is Ward's retired, but he's training. I would say that he's training and he's putting on some size. I think that fight's at cruiserweight, without a doubt.
Interesting.
Yep, I see that at cruiserweight as well. Especially when after Ward beat Kovalev, he was saying like, I don't know, maybe moving up to heavyweight. If you look at that Anthony Joshua. Reason why he said that because he can see technical flaws in Anthony Joshua. I'm telling you this now. Don't listen to AJ. If AJ hits you, he's going to knock you out. But I'm saying that fight has to be at cruiserweight. Tony Bellew can get down to cruiserweight because he looked a bit fleshy. Even in the second fight with David, he still looked a little fleshy.
It's not certain body types.
No, but he looked a little bit fleshy compared to when I see him. He looked more chiseled when he was down when he beat Makabu. It's been like was it 2-year anniversary now? Did you celebrate?
Yeah,
you did. All right.
I'm not really celebrate, but I wouldn't know what it was.
All right. So I'm saying that fight has to be at cruiserweight, and it'd be an excellent fight. Tony Bellew is a lot smarter and should be given more credit than what he understands his game. But we are looking at a guy who I think is going to be an all-time great in Andre Ward. But yeah, great times.
Joshua Hilton has tweeted in, other than Fowler, is there any other prospects in your stable that we should be looking out for in the near future?
And I know the kids are going to say.
Jordan Gill.
Yes.
Jordan the Thrill Gill.
Do you know what? Jordan the Thrill Gill, he can fight. He's a very good fighter. He's slick, he's talented, he's so dedicated. He lives for the sport. He's the reason why I'm prolonging my time in boxing as a coach. You know, I thought after Bellew,
you're out the game.
After the twins, I thought I'd be out, and then Fowler come along, but he's a little bit older. Jordan's only 23, so I've got kind of like a long time.
Like a 10-year period with him now. Yeah? Seven. Oh, all right.
7. But yeah, he's dynamite. He's very good.
He's amazingly talented.
Yeah.
Just seriously, he throws punches in bunches, and not only that, I like to watch like when fights are on. I like to see the relationship with the corners, and I can see how inherent he listens to you when you talk to him.
He's the kind of guy.
He carries out what you do.
He's the kind of guy that I ask him to work on something, and then by the next spar, you see the little things that I've asked him to work on. Fighters that you ask him to study, you'll see those things in that spar. He's such a student of the game. I'm excited about working with him. I think potentially, he's world class. Potentially. He's got world-class attributes, and the potential is there. He's just got to get the right fights and be brought through with the right pace.
Tom Armstrong has asked, who is the most talented fighter that you've faced as a coach?
Oh, Terence Crawford.
Terence Crawford.
Yeah. Terence Crawford, up close. I wasn't a coach, I was a cutman for Billy Nelson in that fight, but being in the ring that close, you just understand how subtle he does things, and this is going way back when he burst onto the scene. Phenomenally talented fighter.
He beat Ricky Burns.
Canelo, to be honest, as a coach, being a coach, man to man as a coach, Canelo, he was just one step ahead of Ryan Rhodes on every little thing, every little detail, subtle foot movements, little things that he was doing. So Canelo and Crawford, really.
Okay, and last week here, Finbar, just how good do you think Inoue can be, having seen him up close and personal?
I think he's exceptional. He's very, very good. It's difficult because that was such a short fight, and it was very, very quick and very, very one-sided. You didn't see what he's like when he's put under pressure. I've seen little clips of him in the lead-up watching him, where I'm not sure if somebody's physically strong and gives me a few digs to the body.
How he react to it?
Well, he didn't seem to react that fantastically. He just seemed to not unravel, but he seemed to just lose his momentum a little bit.
I think he throws his punch a bit wide as well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
I was watching that. So he throws him a little bit wide.
Yeah, he does. I don't. He's still learning. He's only like 16 fights in, so he's got the potential to be great. But I don't know. I don't know how good he is going to be.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sold.
Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for this week. My thanks to Dave and Spencer. Tune in next week for more #Toe to Toe, or check out iTunes for the podcast.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.